Welcome to Production Value Matters, the business event podcast, brought to you by Byrne Production Services. Here, we explore the different ways business events can bring value to your organization, the latest technological advances in the event space, as well as providing you with actionable strategies to make a business event a success. Let's create an exceptional event experience.
Okay, hey everybody, we are back live on location at the Canadian Meetings Events Expo, where I've got the privilege right now to interview Shawn Shapiro, who is the event manager for the entire event. You look great, considering you've just been on your feet for 72 hours straight.
A little bit earlier, but give or take, since the Hall of Fame celebration on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's, so it's on Sunday that you guys start. We did load in on Monday. We just had 2 days. We're just about to close the show floor, which has been an amazing an event. But before we get into talking specifically about CME, tell me a little bit, in the audience, a little bit about yourself and your background.
Of course. So Shawn Shapiro, I'm now the show manager at Canadian Meetings and Events Expo, which is owned by Newcom Media. I've been in the industry approximately 15 years. My background was originally event planner at agencies, marketing and event agencies, and way back, legend Sandy Byback was my teacher at Centennial.
Wow.
Is a fun fact.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, awesome. That's great. And so, so let's talk about CME, right? I am old enough in this business, as some of us are, that I remember the show as Incentive Works, which was very incentive travel focused. But over the last couple of years, certainly pre-pandemic, and then a little shift, a little pause and shift and juggle during the pandemic, like we all did. But you guys came out of the pandemic as CME, as the Meetings and Events Expo. So tell me a little bit about how the focus and strategy has shifted.
Of course. So Incentive Works became Canadian Meetings and Event Expo, or CME. So for anyone out there, it's phonetic CME. In 2019. Really what it was shifting a bit of the focus that it's meeting, events, conference, and incentive planner. So anyone in the industry. With that, there used to be a conference. We still have amazing education. I know everything is inclusive on the floor. So you can go to our great stage, catch some 30, 45, 1 hour sessions, and enjoy the trade show. So now it's an encompassing experience upstairs.
Yeah, that's great. And so I always personify this, and you've seen it on our social media as we came up to the event exhibiting here, that this is sort of like back to school at the end of summer for the meetings and events industry, especially in Toronto. And I always love interacting. Like, I see people that I haven't seen for like 3 or 4 months because we all went on vacation. And this is sort of like the kickoff, in my opinion, and I wonder if you get the same sentiment. It's the kickoff to the season of events, right?
It's interesting. You hear a lot of people say that this is where they premiere their new booth. So a lot of people, or their strategy. So they start in August, go to July. So we're kind of that next year where they're going big, they're going bold. It's the place kind of after the lull of June to August that everyone sees each other again. So it really is that back to school, that reunion feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, on top of the trade show and the educational programming that you guys have on the floor, there's the opening party, which is Reveal. This year, Live Nation, shout out to Sasha and Kayla, who did an amazing job of doing that underground party. And then of course last night there's a lot of hosted events on at the end of day one.
Exactly.
So it's as I said, I love the idea that this is sort of back to school. As you said, you're absolutely right that this is the time where people sort of premiere their marketing strategy for the year, how they're going to launch, going into the busy period. That was the one sentiment that I heard from a lot of the event producers we ran into was, it's been nice and slow, but we're getting ready for the busy, right? And I always liked that CME is that show that sort of starts that thing off.
I think it's very big on both sides of the coin, because for exhibitors or suppliers, it's really before they start going to international shows, they start going to other shows across Canada. So this is really where, again, they're premiering their marketing strategy. For planners, it's one, to fill in the gaps. There are those gaps October, November, December, and then planning their strategy for 25, 26. Because I'm sure you've seen as well, people are getting proactive again, where they do not want to wait. They want to start planning their marketing and their destinations, hotels, 25, 26, so they're not in that lurch again.
Yeah, so that's a good segue into what sort of major industry trends have you, like, since the pandemic has come back? This is the second one since we sort of or third one?
So 22 was the first back.
Yeah.
We had just lifted some of the Ontario.
Sure.
So this would be the second, we'll say, all clear show.
Yeah.
But even this year, we saw a lot of people we haven't seen since the pandemic, and lots of people for the first time. So this has been a big one.
So, like, what are the sort of macro trends that you're seeing in the industry? As you said, like, some people that you haven't seen since pre-2019, 2020, and now, like, do you feel that the industry has sort of, I'm not going to say rebounded, but like sort of gone back to, I'm going to say it out loud, back to normal?
I don't think there is a normal. I think everybody just has a different strategy. I do see that people are ready. Budgets are there. People are ready to plan. Are they doing it differently? I think so, but different isn't bad. I think that, for me at least, when I was on the other end planning, I was waiting for the day we could go back to being proactive versus reactive. And I think you're seeing a lot of people now really, for lack of a better word, filling their Rolodexes. I know that's old school, but the idea of really getting suppliers they want to work with, destinations. So when that comes, when that's ready, they're locked and loaded. They can just run with it. I would say that's a big one. I think also more than ever, it's all experiential. So people are trying to find what's the new big thing. Us planners, we love to be the first to do something.
Yeah, of course.
We can't be the second, can't be the third.
Yeah.
So I really think that, especially coming to a show like this, or shows in general, it's really to find that next big experience, to be the first person to meet a supplier no one else has met, that first big speaker. A great example is our stage. We have some keynotes that haven't been anywhere else. And great ones, the Mandy's Wolf Sisters. They haven't spoken, but they're a trending name. So people going out there and being able to say, that could be a great option for my show.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how do you think that the attendee profile has changed? And I'm asking because Julius Solaris just came out with like a big tweet, as he tends to do, and it was a statistic that I think that shocked a few people. That's I think it was 70% of the workforce in the events and meetings industry is new. And I'm going to say that I'm bringing attention to that because when we were speaking to some of the people on the floor who had been in one of the industry sessions, I think was it Heather Reed or Leanne Calderwood said something about, hey, they asked them who's under 5 years experience in this industry, and it was the majority of the room that put up their hand. So, like, what kind of shift in the attendees are you seeing year over year?
Yeah, so last year we saw a huge number of people who said they had never been ever to IncentiveWorks or CME. This year, I couldn't tell you as of yet, but I have heard a lot of people for the first time say they were here. What we are always looking for is the hidden planner, and you're definitely starting to see people realize that just because your title is an event planner, event manager, there's people who plan events. So definitely seeing a shift in that. Definitely also seeing the idea that people are coming into the industry. Others are sort of, slowly moving out. But I would say the demographic, we're definitely seeing a shift. We're seeing a shift to people a little bit younger and just people we didn't see even 5 years ago. And different companies, you're seeing a lot more tech upstarts. You're seeing a lot of companies that weren't even around 5 years ago. So it's very interesting. I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about sort of the future of CME and where you sort of feel it's going to go. Do you see a big trend? Do you, like, as you said, more tech companies, younger attendee profile? Like, where does CME see itself in the future, and where you see the industry going?
Yeah, so with CME itself, I'm planning 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year already in our heads. The whole team, there's a whole team, and we're working really hard at that. It's hard to really say because as the industry changes, we have to change as well. I hate the word pivot, but we have to make those moves with it. I would say with CME, it's really ensuring there's a reason. And I mean, I think we see this all the time, but what is the reason that an attendee can tell their boss they have to come? What is the reason that an attendee can say, I want to miss a dentist appointment. I want to miss what I have. So this year was about educational experiences that were above the CE credits. What do you walk away with in your pocket that you can take to the office the next day? It's finding those reasons. And I mean, some of them are organic, you can't plan, but this week I've seen so many hugs, handshakes, reunions. I haven't seen you in 5 years since COVID. How's your kid? Oh my God, they're 7. They were 2 the last time. And it's just the things you can't plan. Really, for us, it is always trying to stay current, trying to ensure that we are staying ahead of the curve. I would say really it's making sure that we are a show that attendees feel they need to be at, because they're not just going to learn, they're going to experience it all and be connected to the exhibitors, and exhibitors have that experience with the attendees.
And so, as you sort of look to that, as you said, like 1, 2, 5, 28 years in the future, where do you see CME positioning itself as time goes by? Again, like as we said at the beginning of this, it's sort of back to school. It's the reunion of the industry. It's the launch pad of the new year, as it were. Like, do you see CME sort of positioning itself as more of a, I'll personify it this way, that sometimes CME is regarded as the Canada trying to look at the world, right? Is there sort of a direction where it's more of the world coming to see Canada?
I think that's a great way to put it. I mean, I think, we're in Canada, but I think it's important to look at it that way, that it's not just Canadians. Yes, we have a lot of attendees that are Canadians, but this year we actually did have a lot come from the US. When it comes to exhibitors, we have all the Canadian destinations. We have the Canadian companies, but we had a big international section in the US. So I think it's a great way to say that it is that place, that meeting hub where we can showcase Canada to the world and the world to Canada. I think it's both sides of the coin.
Absolutely.
It's that meeting place. It's that, and I think, down the road, just keep that going where this is a place for everyone. This is where we can all be together. And it's great. Like, I mean, look at this week alone, Toronto. The restaurants had everyone from here. The cabs, the Ubers. There was no Blue Jay game, but you know what? It was supported by the people. How many hotels had all the attendees, the exhibitors? So connecting Toronto, Canada to the world, and the world to us.
So because I think, I'm always talking to, we do a lot of work in the States. And so I always talk to potential clients and industry influencers, or however we want to call them. And I say, CME is this great show. Come and see what Canada has to offer. And, 9 times out of 10, when the American market is looking at us, they're always sort of like, if I'm doing anything in Canada, and then I point out a statistic that, like, one of the biggest industry exports for the Canadian meetings and events industry itself is actually into the United States.
100%.
Like, American agencies, American brands are leveraging the value of pulling Canadian talent into the American market, to counter the shortage that goes throughout the entire industry. Like, we're suffering from it a little bit here too, but certainly across the United States with just the sheer volume of the economics of it. They're like, when they say they're desperate for people, well, they turn to Canada, and they turn to the amazing Canadian talent out there. So I always love this show. And I have noticed that trend over the last couple of years, that there are more and more American planners and buyers. There are more and more American destinations and hotel chains and service providers who are all coming to this as part of that sort of bigger global footprint. Certainly in the vein of the IMEXs, of the EMSs, of the WECs, that CME has established itself, certainly in the North American market, as a premier destination along that touring trend. Right?
Definitely. And I mean, the show itself is crucial, but it's also the days around it. It really has become a time where, whether you're here for a few days, a week, it's an experience. It's the show is the hub of the experience, but it's everything around it. even though it's not really a week, people say CME week and that's really what it's becoming. And we forget how close the US is. So for attendees to come from a New York or a Minnesota, it's not that bad. It's not that far. And the world, I think we all learned the last few years, is a lot smaller than we used to think.
100%. And you're absolutely right. Like, Detroit is just down the road from us, right? I say just down the road in Canadian content.
In the sense, we have lots of friends from Windsor here.
Yeah.
They're exhibiting. We have attendees from Windsor. Just across.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an extra 20 minutes. I have a lot of family in Europe, and when I tell them, like, oh yeah, it took me 3 hours to drive somewhere, they're like, that's absolutely insane, Matthew. So yeah, I totally get it. And it is just like a hop, skip, and a jump. And I think the American markets are starting to realize that, there's an enormous amount of talent. I think that actually came out of the, during COVID, where film and television and production, where we in this industry sometimes get a lot of talent, they came north because of health restrictions and how it was being managed. And then from the sentiment that I get every once in a while is they were like, I came into Toronto and I noticed that there was people here and they do all this awesome stuff. And I was like, yeah, we've been here for 150 years, So, all right. So thank you very much, Shawn.
Thank you.
So let the audience know. So CME 2025, August 12 and 13?
August 12th, 13th, 2025.
Yeah, absolutely.
Metro Toronto Convention Center, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And so if they're interested, they can go to
www.CME, so CMEE, XPO.ca.
Right.
Also remember that even though the event itself is only once a year, all year long, our website has all kinds of industry news, fun stuff to connect us all, and fun stuff to make sure that you know what's going on for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Production Value Matters, the business event podcast, is brought to you by Byrne Production Services. To find out more about Byrne Production Services and how putting on events can drive value for your business, visit byrneproductionservices.com. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And on behalf of the team here at Production Value Matters, thank you so much for listening.